Check, check, check. Bits are flowing. Right, looks like we're live on YouTube. Just do a sound check. Right, looks like we're live on YouTube. Just do a sound check. Check, check, check. Right, looks like we're live on YouTube. Alright. Okay. So we got the CarPuter. And we got an extra Pi, older version. Pi 4 is there. And what's going on with the CarPuter is this ribbon connector goes to the screen. And you probably can't quite tell, but the pins are pretty worn down. I think it's just because I take it out a lot, or I did, and it's just like super bent to get down into this little slot on the Pi. So it took a while to find a screwdriver, and yeah, I've been not using this when I go out because it just draws too much attention to me, and I've just been using regular laptop instead. So first things first, let's just get this fixed up. So yeah, apologies if you came on to the last stream. I showed up, it was scheduled, it was the first time I tried scheduling a stream, and I saw people pop in on the viewer count, and the video is going and everything, but for some reason it says the stream didn't happen, and it was showing me this error here, saying that there's a duplicate stream key. And it continued to do that until today when I deleted that scheduled stream. So, I don't know. So I can't spend a ton of time down here just because it's like so stuffy. Like last time, all the way until the following day, my nose was just stuffed, my lips were dry. So, don't recall if all these screws are the same or not. That one's that corner, that one's that corner. And it looks like they're all the same. So, usually you can take like a piece of paper and draw a picture and then put the screws in little circles where they go on the picture. So don't need to do that. Oh right, so my old stickers might have to come off. Maybe not. And it turns out I don't even need this anymore. So here's what we're looking at on the inside. Got to replace that white ribbon cable. And I got this 4 or 6 or whatever pack. It also works with the Raspberry Pi cameras. So we'll see if we've got one that's similar in length. Maybe a little longer would be good. So here's one that is, excuse me, a little bit longer, and another one that's a little, looks like the same length. And so is a 6-pack. So 2 short, 2 medium, 2 long. And I've got the other long one used somewhere else. All right. So yeah, CarPuter I built around, well, it was a long culmination of projects, but I put it on Gumroad as a, or Shopify as a product in like, oops, like June of 2021. And paid a bunch of money for Shopify. I mostly was just like testing the platform, and so pull this out. So you might be able to tell that it's a little bit worn out as opposed to the good end. Not so great because it's not flat. Kind of see it's metal versus this end that has the pins wearing out. So I don't think it's a, well, I mean it's a design flaw that this thing's so short. But yeah. So this has the pins upward, correct. But the normal consumer would not be taking it in and out as much as I did. And a big part of that, yeah. Anyway, just iterating on stuff. So before we put it back together, let's just see if it works. And back. So it's broadcasting again. Let's see if the YouTube stream comes back. So another thing we have to do is free up storage on the broadcasting device, and I've actually created smaller partitions than we have available on the SD card, so I just have to create a new one and move all the prior broadcasts there, and we should be good. But yeah, it looks like we're using about 1 gig per hour of the broadcast. Cards. That's not good. Where'd my other image go? Alright, so come on, man. So yeah, the disk image has to go right under here, so when I have to switch it, I need to pull this out, and that's how it got worn out. And I tried getting an SD card extending bay, but it seemed to not quite work. So, alright. Overall, you know, it's a good product for myself to use. I did sell it with support factored into the billing. So maybe, oh yeah, so there is a power splitter here that we have to use. Let's see, so if I remember correctly, just having the one plugged, well, let's see, it's a USB-C. And I don't think I have another USB-C cable here. I know where the other splitter is, but let's see if we can avoid that by, well, first of all, let's try plugging it into the display and see if it powers the Pi. Okay, it does not. Now let's plug the GPIO in, which actually has power, and see if that was how it worked without the splitter. There's a couple variables. Well, I don't know if the Pi 3 versus 4 behave differently. And also, I just have not used it in a while, and I don't recall which Pi I did make the different realizations on. So yeah, it's documented somewhere. Alright, let's try this now. Alright, so now the Pi is lit up and the screen is lit up, and we've got a little lightning bolt in the corner, which I believe is coming from the Pi programming. Yep, so Linux is booting up. So this is going to be successful repair. So I'm gonna go ahead and just unplug that, unplug this. So once I get this put back together, I'll go ahead and show you the Twitter client. And I did get a recording of the stream from the other day. It was almost 2 hours. I don't have a flashlight down here with me. So we'll see what we do about that other stream. I'll just do these deep screws later after the stream. I'll just do that afterward. Oh, I said I'd show the Twitter stream next. Actually, I will free up storage next, even though I don't think we're going to go that long. Ruh-roh. So I'm a big fan of creating partitions under 32 gigs so that I can copy them to small, cheap 32 gig SD cards. So just go ahead and create another 30 gigger. Just go ahead and take this off screen real quick. strange that it did it like this, eh? 3, 5. Alright, anyway, let's see if it shows up. Oops, forgot to unmute it. Sorry, all I was doing was saying I think something's wrong with this directory, so it's permission, so let me just fix that real quick. Alright, now let me just create a new directory inside of this new directory, this new volume, I mean. Now there should just be one. Let me just try moving one as a test. This is actually the one from the other day. So yeah, I need to, so on one hand, they say, you know, the hustlers say, oh, move in silence, move in silence. On the other hand, homeless people, as we were talking about, need accountability. And so the middle ground is to do it so big that making some noise doesn't show enough of the picture for people to do what they do that causes you to have to move in silence. Now, like we talked about with the critics and trolls, like, people are always gonna take the little bits that they know. Like, if anyone thinks they know me, really nobody knows me. And, you know, do what so-called haters do. Alright, so it does appear that it was able to remove it. Now, you can see I don't own all these files, but because the containing directory is writable, I can actually delete the files. So I believe this is the one. Yep, it's getting bigger. So, let's see, what can we do? So basically what I want to do is not have to wait for that. Well, I was going to say I don't want to have to wait for that file dialog. That's the one, right? It's not the one. 3:16. The date and time are wrong here, so 11:3 at 16. So it's 17:47. So we'll take all except for this and this, drop it into here, same volume, so instant copy. And then what I want to do is go to temp. So I just move piece by piece. So into media high P2 iSpooge daily of archive iSpooge daily live. Partially too, I'm running on this tiny battery, so it could die at any time. So I just want to do it chunk by chunk. And yeah, it's like a gig per hour, so it can just do a partial job here as well. We don't have to move all of them. Oops. Alright, so we've got a decent amount of free space now. Alright, so the Twitter client. So nothing too fancy. Let's make sure the key is still good. Alright, gotta refresh the token real quick. Every 2 hours the token expires, but we have a refresh token. So So normal reverse chronological latest timeline, HTMX to do pagination, and I'm going to release it as a GPL. So that means it needs to be open source, but because I own the copyright for it, I can also do licensing deals, meaning startups, legal departments usually stay away from GPL stuff, especially a GPL is even worse. But if there's a commercial licensing version to like white label it, then they can sell, they'll reach out and I can sell them a license. So yeah. Not that necessarily say, someone outside of the US will respect the GPL, but at least I have a leg to stand on. The GPL has been tested in court. So yeah. So you can see on the bottom left we have local profile links. We also have regular Twitter links for the tweet ID, and we've got some other operations down here, not all necessarily hooked up. But so DMs, nobody's DM'd me, that's cool. Mentions, I don't remember why that, oh yeah, right. So just more tweets, test conversation. Again, it paginates test thread. So that's where users post a thread. So this just filters out any tweet that's not by the poster. Oh, and this keeps repeating them because just because of how I did the pagination thing. So it's the same tweets over and over. Just got to fix that. Avatars, I just have an empty string. I don't want to be looking at people's mugs all the time, making all those HTTP requests. Profile, same thing. So we're live on YouTube, hey. Bookmarks. Only bookmarked a couple things. Some people use that more. And then we can tweet. And actually, let me get the Twitter window open. Actually, I could have got that from over here, but yeah, so reply to tweet ID. So that's just the number at the end. So we can actually view it, and the ID is not there for some reason. It's okay because I don't have a route for that anyway. Profile. So there's that. Actually click and view it on Twitter. And we can see that it's in reply to we're live. So just go ahead and delete that real quick. So you can see, if you click on it, it'll show that we've used our client rather than the web client. Here's our full stack. I don't remember if Twitter is one of these that are covered up, but yeah, we've got a bunch of apps. And link on Twitter to our store of apps. I talk about AGPL and commercial. So if people want to use the code in another GPL project, they'll be able to, and then I'll also be able to sell it here. I'll be able to sell various licensing options if I want to. So yeah, and just like myself, we can view other users' timelines as well. So nice and simple. Yeah, it's too bad about the accountability and addressing the cyberbullying that's happening and whatever. Like, it was a good talk. It's so long, I don't really want to upload it. So I never edit videos either, so that's for various reasons. Like, I haven't tried editing a video on the Pi 4, but on the Pi 3 with 1 gig of RAM, there's obviously not enough resources to be able to do that. So yeah, I don't know when the Twitter client will be live, either open source or on the store. You know, it's just something that I work on every now and then. And yeah, so it's not like I'm, you know, like I've got all these apps that I'm working on, and it's just like I like to just use a little bit more of my own stuff every day. So yeah, and I'm turning into a mouth breather again because of the dust down here. So, not to mention, coffee also dries you out, so yeah, good lord, 40 minutes, it's crazy how fast time goes. So yeah, in this stream we basically fixed the screen on CarPuter, fixed the storage by adding a new location to put archived videos on the Raspberry Pi, and then showed off the new Twitter client a little bit. So yeah, I really need to figure out what to do about that accountability video, because that was good. Something else I need to do is clear out my laptop, because it's also down to just like a gig of space. And then yeah, clear it out. I'll probably just do a reset. It's Windows in S mode, just because I want to keep it basically like a mobile device. It's like super locked down. It can only use signed binaries from the Windows Store, and there's like some way to set it up so you can sign your own binaries, but yeah, that'll be a nice long research project, and I'm happy just running Python code for everything. So yeah. And yeah, by the way, let's see. Well, yeah, I said I was going to wrap it up. Let me just show one thing, which is this is all using HTMX, which is really a React alternative. And you can, it's basically meant to just use HTML without JavaScript, even though it's obviously coded in JavaScript. But yeah, it puts more of the load onto the back end. So I'm kind of like thinking back to the way that PHP apps were done, which were like, you know, days of jQuery, way before, you know, before Angular, before React. You just used PHP and you did a full request for everything. But then I've successfully used a pattern called the facade pattern, and that can be used for a couple different reasons. I've got a lot of writing about it. It's one of the things I could like publish an article or do a talk about. But yeah, so I'm thinking about how much front-end code I want to do in JavaScript versus just using a facade layer and offloading service integration onto that layer, which is a great purpose for it. So yeah. That'll do it. got to, you know, part of it is just this whole house is dusty, so even if I were to vacuum out the whole basement, there's still a bunch of dust in the ducts, so it wouldn't necessarily help anything. It would just, you know, ready the place for a new layer of dust. But then on the other hand, when I walk around, the dust gets picked up and brought into the ducts as well. So, all right. So we'll see if we can condense down that that accountability, whatever I called it, video. And come at you again, like, I gotta find somewhere to broadcast from. I've been pumping the Patreon a little bit more lately, which actually, yeah, so it's patreon.com. I'll just pump it right now. So I just got one person. Thank you so much to the patron who's been with me for a long time. Here's actually the CarPuter when I first built it. Same everything. So we'll see if I can start actually putting some patron-only content. It's just, you know, I'm so focused on solving my own problems that, like, now I'm getting to the point where I've got value that I can share with people. But for a long time, you know, I was data engineer, and then I switched to just working. Do we have another spider coming down? I see it in the screen here. But yeah, like, it's just like retooling, because I was like, all right, I'm leaving tech, and then I left tech for a while, and then pandemic happened. You know, I guess, oh, good Lord. I say that just because I'm like, you know, getting ready to, you know, go into what I was talking about on the accountability stream. Because it's really hard to, you know, it's really easy for people to create the impression that, you know, what the troll was saying. So it's like, you know, here I was doing Clojure, and then, you know, Java services, and then Node.js and DevOps, and then some blockchain DevOps stuff, and then I got into like labor, and then working at a restaurant, and then labor, and then working at a grocery store, and then, you know, doing this stuff, retooling. Pandemic hit, studying law. It's like I've been doing just a ton of stuff. And so, yeah, move in silence, but at the same time I'm accused of doing nothing. So it's like, where's the balance? So yeah, anyway, I really wanted to get that talk up, so it's like really disappointing that it didn't work out with YouTube. So we'll see. It's like an hour and a half. Maybe I'll just watch it myself. I don't like to say what I'm gonna do, because, you know, as everyone knows, never goes according to plan. Especially if you're doing this kind of material where, you know, if you're into like thinking about spiritual warfare and stuff, like the more you talk about it, the more attacks are gonna come. Blah blah blah. So it's better. Moving in silence is very smart, but, you know, it's like you also got to get the word out about what you're doing. So maybe I'll announce things early on Patreon. That could be a perk, you know, on that subject of thinking about perks. So yeah, and if you've supported me in any way since, you know, 2018 when I started doing this crazy open source stuff, you know, well, restarted doing it 2015. I did some. You can check my GitHub, you know, it goes way back, decade and a half. But yeah, so I really want to get stuff for people, and I'll quit who, you know, have supported me. but I'm also just super focused on helping myself too. So, you know, it is better to give than to receive. I know. It's like, but you can't. Here's the thing. Here's what, you know. It's like you can't give to others until your cup is full, and my cup has just not been full. And so I've been having to ask of others but not give, so I just have to just keep filling into my own cup and isolate, you know, keep letting the, you know, the Creator fill into my cup in isolation until it's full, and then I can start flowing into other people's cups. So yeah, I don't know what you might have learned on this stream. You just saw me do this, and you saw me do this, and you saw my Twitter clients. So yeah, thanks for joining, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.